Hi, welcome to More Than Maple, a show about food and culture across Canada. I'm your host, Capri Cafaro, and this show comes from Bountiful Media and Harrowsmith magazine. This is going to be, I say this every time, but I really, really mean it this time. This is going to be a fun episode. I don't always have a chance to meet all of my guests in person, but this one is a little different. I actually have met our next guest, and his name is Antoine Lavoie. He is the founder and he's the chocolatier at Delavoye Chocolate Maker in Alberta, Edmonton. I was recently just at a conference called the Taste of Place Summit, put on by the Culinary Tourism Alliance, CTA, friend of this show. You've seen them here. And so shortly after I had a chance to welcome Rebecca McKenzie, the CEO of the Culinary Tourism Alliance on this show, I went out to Edmonton, and that is where I met Antoine. And this is where now you, our listeners and viewers, also get to meet Antoine, because the second we met, I knew you had an incredible story to share.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me, Capri. Much appreciated.
Absolutely. So, oftentimes, and when we spoke, we talked a little bit about this. I find, when I talk to folks in food and agriculture, in one way, shape, or form, it's not always a linear path. It's not always this obvious, I woke up and I decided that I want to work at a restaurant, or I want to be a pastry chef, and I'm going to do XYZ, and I'm going to go to culinary school. And you're no exception to that, but you have a really unique backstory. Yes. So tell us, because we all want to thank you for your service to Canada.
Yes. My path was definitely not linear. I joined the Canadian Armed Forces when I was 17. I started in the intelligence field, so I was a Morse code operator. And then in 2015, I went to school in Vancouver to become a medical laboratory technologist with the military. And I served until 2023.
Yeah.
And I was there to live through COVID. So I was in charge of the testing. So it was a hectic time.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine. And I know that, I think for many of us during COVID, we found refuge in our kitchen. And it sounds a little bit like that might have happened with you too.
Yes.
As part of your journey to chocolate.
Yes, indeed. When you're in the healthcare world, you're in a pandemic, you see the same thing over and over again, and it can be a tough on someone's mental health. And
Absolutely.
I kind of stumbled upon chocolate making. I was just wondering, where does chocolate come from? And that's just how it started, just with that question of like, where does it come from? And that's how everything started in my own kitchen with a few beans, and then it kind of snowballed, and here I am.
So where does it come from? I mean, many of us eat chocolate, not everyone, and certainly our lovely dogs can't eat chocolate because that would be bad. But I can't imagine trying to make bean to bar chocolate in my kitchen. So what does that look like?
Yeah, so chocolate, it comes from a fruit. It's the seed of the cacao pod, which grows in those beautiful trees called Theobroma cacao. And unfortunately, in Canada, it's too cold for us to have any and have plantations. But the plantations or cooperative, they kind of open the pods, and then they strip the beans from the fruit. And then it's fermented, just like anything that is good in life. Cheese, beer, wine, it has to be fermented.
Aged.
Yeah. And then dried, and then we get it. And then there are numerous steps that has to go through to end up into chocolate. But I took a very industrial process, and I kind of adapted it to my kitchen. So I used what I had when I first started. I didn't have the financial means to buy big equipment, or I was just curious. It was not meant to be a job or a dream. It was just curiosity.
Well, and that's fair enough. I mean, we sometimes, kind of get excited about a hobby, and that's all it is. How did it turn from just, playing around in your kitchen to, becoming a larger scale operation and ultimately having your own store?
Yeah, everything kind of happened like at the same time. So
Okay.
I it kind of evolved, and then I wanted to perhaps try to do it at home and sell it in at farmers market. And then at the same
Right.
time, my partner got a professor position at the University of Alberta. And
Amazing.
that meant that we could not move, and the
Right.
military wanted to move us. So we were at a very critical crossroad, and
Makes sense.
I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. Like I'm just going to jump into this, and if it succeeds, it succeeds. If not, then at least I would have tried.
Yeah, and so you took classes, right? I mean, there has to take some level of skill. You pulled it off. I mean, what was it? A lot of trial and error?
Oh, so much trials and errors. I gave chocolate to everybody that wanted chocolate from me, and so I first, watch a few YouTube videos, and then I learned through trial and errors. I like to get my hands dirty, and I'm visual. Like I learned through visual learning.
Doing. Yes, I'm the same way. Like I tried to learn how to crochet and stuff from YouTube videos. I have to physically do it. Like I have to have somebody or I can't do it.
Yes.
I can't figure it out.
So that's exactly how it kind of started, and then I learned through trial and errors, and then I did some more research, found kind of it's called École Chocolat. It's a virtual school based out of Vancouver, and they provide the theory. Obviously, they can't be in your house and show you how to do things,
right? But
that's the the practice.
Well, what about the theory? Because in the guests that I've had on, we always find out that there is an art and a science to pretty much everything, whether it's cheese making, whether it's cider making, wine, beer, everything is a little bit of an art and a science. So what is the theory that is underpinning chocolate making that you learned?
Well, one thing I think that is crucial about chocolate making is the sourcing. Right? Like the most important, it's not the theory about the chocolate, it's not the science, but it's a huge it's a huge part of making chocolate. So sourcing quality ingredients, where to source them, and just making sure you're doing fair trade. So that was a huge component. Also the tempering process, understanding the different crystals and why why your chocolate is hard, shiny, and has a nice snap, or why is it creating a bunch of little streaks and it's bendy and it melts between your fingers. So that's the
wow.
the theory.
See, I'm already intimidated. So I want to go through a little bit of everything that you just said, because I think it is really all important stuff. So, and I'm going to come back to the sourcing of the beans, because I want to have a longer conversation about that, because that is the critical underpinning of all of this, because that is the key ingredient. Yes. But since we're kind of talking about theory, and it really, I know that again, it's this science, and you have to figure out, percentages and sugars and fats and this and that. But you're right. I mean, trying to get that balance to make sure that it's got the shine and the snap versus just just turning into a ball. Now, maybe sometimes you want a softer one, and that's a different story. Yes. But how do you figure that out? I mean, what does that look like? Because to me, that's just like too much chemistry.
Well, it's simple once you understand what has to happen. So we're dealing with a bunch of crystals that are found in the cocoa butter. So there are 6 crystals, and basically we only care about beta-5 crystal, just that one. Okay. That when we target this one and we kind of move it around and we bring it through different temperature changes that specific temperatures that only those crystals bind together, and then that forms a solid structure. So that's what creates a snap. So you're basically breaking the bonds of those crystals.
Right.
So
Okay.
this is, where you'll see in little chocolate shops where they work the chocolate on marble slabs. That's the tempering process.
I see.
We have a machine to do it because we do larger volumes. But yeah, so that's a key component in making good chocolate.
Wow. Yeah. So then let's back up to that key to the key ingredient, because let's walk our listeners and viewers through sort of the bean to bar process. And I want to start first with, the importance of finding the right bean and working with the right farmers and growers, because I know that's important to you. Sustainability, fair trade, as you said, because a lot of these, the beans do come from, Central and South America, other, parts of the world that, it's important to make sure that fair trade is being utilized.
Yes, definitely. For me, it's about the first thing I looked at. It's not even the flavor of the beans or what I can make. It's the relationships that the brokers and the growers or the cooperative have, and who they are, where, like, their stories, and understanding that the money that we pay for those beans is good. It's a decent price, and also that this money may be redistributed to teach chocolate making or reinvest in their communities or in their families. So for us, all of this is important. We don't want any child labor. And
absolutely.
I was in Peru in July of last year, and I got to travel around northern Peru with our brokers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was so beautiful. And I got to meet a tribe, and learn about who's in charge of the plantations, what are their processes, why they're doing this now, and learning about everything. And that is the connection. This is storytelling in food. This is one of the most important things, storytelling, right?
No question.
Right? So
that's what we do here.
Yeah. So for me, that's very important, storytelling. So
yeah. So I mean, it had to be incredibly impactful to meet the tribes,
my God,
to learn about what they do, to learn about their backgrounds, their lives, and the work that actually goes into it. Because, well, you can obviously, you're doing your due diligence, you're learning, you're working with brokers that are employing ethical practices, which is critical, but to see it with your own eyes. What did you experience there? Like, those conversations, what were they like?
It was, first of all, there's many times on that trip where a lot of us were crying just to see all the effort, the love they have to give, and welcoming us, and just taking the time to share their story. And there's this gentleman, he was 81 years old, never taken one day of vacation, not one.
Unbelievable.
81. And there's one of a variety of cacao that comes from his plantation. And initially there was a lot of support for him, and now there's not so much support. So now he doesn't have anybody to ferment for him. So it's really touching, and it's like, what can I do to help him, help his daughters, his grandkids, to keep that plantation alive? So that impacted us a lot, and me especially, and a lot of people on the tour, where we're like, we need to do more to support the smaller farmers.
Sure.
Right. So.
Sure. Right. Well, and I'm sure that, again, that's it sounds like it's impacting your buying choices.
Yes.
because it's about the quality of the product, sure, but when you hear the stories behind who's actually harvesting that product, it makes it that much more important. So I'm really glad that you were able to be there and to share that story, because listen, we are mass consumers of chocolate as a society.
Yes.
And so, and obviously there are varying degrees of quality and mass production and uses and all the rest of that stuff. But I think it's important for us to recognize that there is a lot of labor that goes into that. And, by starting with that bean. So take us from there. So you now have your product outside of the those values that you've discussed. What are you actually looking for in the bean itself?
So I'm looking for maybe unique flavor profile, different varieties, and I'm also looking obviously at the quality of the beans, so how they've been processed at the origin. So the amount of days that they've been in fermentation, the drying process. Because then, and also the sorting. They do sorting at the origins, some of them.
Okay.
So when they get here and we do the hand sorting, then it's less work on us. So we can age quicker for the remaining steps. So those are different aspects that I'm looking into buying.
Sure.
Right. So
yeah, well, and again, we're not even like to the process of making chocolate yet, and there's already been a number of steps that we've gone through.
Yes.
And I'm just thinking to myself, you had to learn this whole business from scratch. It's one thing to mess around with in your kitchen, but then you have to figure out all of these different things about, the process and the fermentation and the sorting and the bean quality and what those flavor profiles may be. I mean, that had to take a lot too.
Yes.
Incredible. So now the beans are with you.
Yes. And then,
they're sorted. Let's just assume they're sorted. So then what?
So we do sorting in here as well to remove ropes and bugs and stuff. And then we roast, which is what differentiates me from other chocolate makers.
Interesting.
Right? It's just like coffee roaster.
Coffee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then once they're roasted, we need to crack the beans and get basically the meat, the flesh of it. So we crack them and then winnow them. So we have a machine that cracks the beans and then uses an airflow to separate the husk, which is lightweight. It accounts for 25% of the weight of the bean, and it's something we don't use to make chocolate. So we lose 25%.
Right. Is there any way to utilize that in something other, some other sort of sustainable way?
Yes,
or
of course.
Use that byproduct to give to somebody else to do something with?
Yeah, so we have an employee that likes to make paper. We make tea. We make simple syrup to sweeten any drink sometimes.
Interesting.
So we make a tea and then a simple syrup. We've partnered with Above Average Drinks to make liquor. And we've made cookies. So we've pulverized the dust to kind of blend it with the flour. So we can...
so interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
There are so many things we can do, but we can keep up.
How cool.
Yes. And
that is so cool.
And then after the cracking and winnowing, we have the nibs that are free of husk, and then we can put them into our stone melangers. So it's just two wheels in a drum. The wheels are made of granite, the base is made of granite, and then we add the nibs, cocoa butter, sugar, and then it spins for 3 days. And
so where does the cocoa butter come from? Is that also a byproduct of everything that's happening?
Yeah, so cocoa butter, basically, we could do it here. I don't have the machine or the buying power to source that many beans, but in the nibs are made of 50% butter. So our brokers, some of our brokers, they process them directly, and they basically warm up the nibs and press them. So the butter comes out, and then you're left with kind of a patty of cocoa powder. So that's how you get the...
Got it.
So we like to add it back into our chocolate to make it a bit of a more creamy.
I was going to say, it must make it more creamy.
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay. So, and then it goes into that mélanger?
Melanger, yes, for 3 days.
For 3 days.
Yes, nonstop.
Wow.
And then after that, it goes into our tempering machine where those crystals are kind of pushed together to form a chocolate bar. That's where we mold and package.
Okay. So how do you figure out, I mean, as a consumer of chocolate and when you look at like, let's call it higher quality or nicer, quote unquote chocolate, and they talk about, 70%, cacao or 90% this and that. And so you think about the different flavor profiles of just basic like dark chocolate versus milk chocolate.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure white chocolate isn't even really chocolate at all.
Well,
but, you tell me if I'm wrong. That's how I feel.
Well, so it is half. So it's only cocoa butter, right?
Yeah.
So it's half chocolate. Let's say
it's half chocolate. Okay, so it's half chocolate. I'll give you that. Half white chocolate. I'll let you off the hook. You get half points for being half chocolate. So. How do you figure that out? I mean, I'm assuming, again, you play around because you have different types of products and maybe you want ones that are more robust or more bitter and ones that are sweeter and whatever. But how do you personally and your business make those kind of, for lack of a better term, recipe decisions on the percentages of the different ingredients that you're using for specific outcomes?
Yes, definitely, and it's just trial and errors again. But now that we've been doing that for 2.5 years, we kind of know to start. I always start with new beans with a 70%. Always the same roasting. So then after that, we can tweak it from there. Because I'm taking basically the roast and the profile of my favorite chocolate bar, basically my favorite beans. And then I go from there. So it's easier for me to have a reference point. And it's all about what I want. So that's...
So basically, we're getting what you want.
Yeah, exactly. There's no other choice.
I see. So what are you looking for then? Like, what are your taste like? Because for example, I actually really like dark chocolate more than milk chocolate. In certain circumstances, I would say that like if I'm just going to have a chocolate bar, if you will, I rather have it be on the darker side than just straight up milk. But then if I have like more of a confection, like I love me some coconut haystacks is what they call them in my hometown that I'm from. And so with that, I actually do prefer the milk chocolate. So everybody has their thing.
Correct.
And I just pulled up your website too, because I'm just looking at what your things are. But I want you to tell us what are your favorite things? Because I'm assuming that you're looking for what you want, but then you're also trying to serve your customers.
Yes, of course. Yeah, that's the kind of fine line I have to walk on every time we develop a new recipe, a new chocolate bar. But for me, it's I want to evoke an emotion. So I love that. I want people to taste the chocolate and be like, I did not expect it to taste this way, or, oh, it's more fruity. We're so used to dark, bitter chocolate, and that's not what I want. I want to change people's perception on dark chocolate. So when I do my tastings here, I start with a commercially made chocolate, usually 78%, 75%, and then I go on and start with our chocolate that is 75% or 80%, sorry, and they're like, oh, but the 75% was more bitter than yours. I'm like, yes, it's about controlling the flavors during the roasting, the amount of cocoa butter, and it's So I love not to have bitter chocolate.
I can understand. So I'm looking at your website, and again, folks, if you want to find, and we'll repeat this at the end, but delavoyechocolate.ca. So I'm here because I didn't have a chance to actually visit the shop when I was in Edmonton, but I'm looking at some of these. First of all, you actually note, particularly when there's like the single origin bars, where they're from. So I noticed Venezuela, Dominican Republic, but then I'm also looking at these are really interesting flavors together. You have a dark chocolate passion fruit,
Yes.
65%, 70% dark chocolate vanilla raspberry that actually looks like red
Yes.
as a bar. And then a cafe au lait, which the dark milk cafe au lait bar, 65%, that looks like something I would definitely eat.
And obviously there are so many more. We can keep up with taking pictures. We do a lot of limited editions. So we have a mango
Yes.
habanero as of right now.
Oh, that is my jam.
Yeah, and
that is my jam.
we had the one that was that we want to bring back because a lot of people are talking about it. Is Totes My Goats.
What is in Totes My Goats?
It's it's goat milk from BC.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yes.
From British Columbia?
Yes, from
That's
Happy
amazing.
Day Farm, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, and everything
Wow,
is
that's cool.
Like the packaging is done in house, so we get to tweak and add some, little touch of our own touch, basically, in the packaging.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you do like drinking chocolate for hot chocolate as well.
Yes, European drinking chocolate. This is the one that we sell a lot because people want a real hot chocolate, not just cocoa powder and water. Real chocolate with milk and cream and maple syrup. So, yeah.
Oh, that sounds and maple syrup. That sounds fantastic. Now, I have to bring up the thing that is the coolest, I think, about what you do, and it's the experiences, and that seems to be pervasive in your brand. It's an experience, as you said. You want people to taste it, to evoke an emotion.
Yes.
So even if you're just going in and buying, you're still having an experience. But you literally do have experiences where people can go and do tastings and I'm not going to do it justice. You tell us.
Yes, so we do a lot of ticketed experience. So we do intro chocolate tasting where we just want people to kind of enjoy chocolate just like they enjoy wine or or whiskey. And the price of cacao keeps going up, so now it's becoming a luxury thing. So we want people to really take the time to sit down and enjoy each bite. We did sake and chocolate. We do.
Oh, no kidding!
Yes,
that's an interesting pair.
Yes, we did cheese and chocolate, beer and chocolate, and one that I really enjoy doing is the after dark experience where I bring.
What is that?
So it's once we're closed on Wednesdays, not every Wednesdays, but on certain Wednesdays, when we are closed, we invite 8 people that have purchased tickets, and then basically I bring them in the factory, show them everything. They can actually
that's awesome.
see it. They can taste the chocolate being made, and then they can ask as many questions as they want. And then after that, we give them a dessert, and it's a new one every time. It's something that allows us to be creative and to basically they're guinea pigs. So we trial a bunch of things on.
Sign me up! I'm ready. I would gladly be your guinea pig here.
Yeah, I mean, I want people to connect with us. I don't want just people to come here to buy something. I want them to remember. Not everything, but like I want people to walk in and smell and see, like, attention to details. I want people to, if they can't maybe afford or have the time to come and do an experience with us, well, they can still experience in our cafe. So when you come in, you can look at all the information that is around and really take the time to, instead of spending 5 minutes, you can spend 2 hours and just read about everything.
Absolutely.
Right? So
that I would love to do that at some point. That sounds so cool.
You're welcome at any time.
It's definitely, it is something that is right up my alley. I always like to know how things are made, where they come from, the process that they go into it. You have done this so fast. I mean, I am just beside myself. I mean, you started this, in 2023?
December 2023. We opened December 8th. Yes.
So it's like 2.5 years.
Yes.
Like from where we sit today, recording this episode, to where you started. You've grown significantly in a short amount of time.
Yes.
And with really no, going from serving in the military to serving us chocolate is a huge leap.
Yes. And I'm learning every day, right? Like, I'm not used to having like employees that are civilian. Like, I just don't, like, I'm just learning how to communicate with them, right? So just
it's a different
world for me. And I was never in business, and I'm learning every day. It is not easy, but I'm lucky. I have a very good support system, and I'm actually lucky to be in this city because Explore Edmonton is amazing, and
they are.
Edmontonians are very supportive. So
Edmonton was great. It was my first time out there. They were incredibly welcoming. It's a beautiful city.
Yeah.
Explore Edmonton that you mentioned is their tourism bureau, if you will. Really great. They really are just a go and visit Edmonton.
Yes.
There's so much to discover here in Canada.
Of course, yeah, and we're kind of the stop before heading to Jasper, right? So a lot of people just go straight from the airport to Jasper. Stop in Edmonton. Like, we're
there you go.
There's so many things to see and do. So.
Well, and so many chocolates to taste, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Antoine, you have a bright future. I am so glad that we had a chance to meet randomly at the Taste to Play Summit. I'm glad that I made it to Edmonton. It was a journey to and from, just because there were storms everywhere, and I had so many delays back and forth, but I made it, and I'm so glad I did. So again, let our listeners know, do you ship? Do you ship?
We do ship across Canada. Yes.
Okay, so tell our Canadian listeners if they want to order or learn more, where can they find out?
So you can go on our website, delavoyechocolate.ca, and follow us on Instagram at Delavoye Chocolate. That's where
that is DELAVOYE.
Yes.
Chocolate.
And this is the origin of my last name. So that's kind of a circle back to where we get our beans, the origin. So now this is the origin of my name. So
I was wondering about that because I obviously your last name being Lavoie, Lavoie. I was wondering if there was a connection there. So that is just. I am just so excited. I want to go back to Edmonton to do one of these experiences sooner rather than later. But Antoine Lavoie, we are so pleased that you could join More Than Maple today. Thank you so much for sharing your story, and thank you for your service to Canada too.
Thank you for having me, Capri. Much appreciated.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks.
More Than Maple is a production of Bountiful Media North America for Harrowsmith Magazine. It's researched, written, and hosted by me, Capri Cafaro. Recorded at That Toronto Podcast Studio in Toronto, Ontario, with technical support and post-production by 115 Creative.